Monday morning, folks. Very warm welcome to this edition of the podcast. We did see in gold and silver some record levels, both in the Indian markets as well as the international markets, Sunil. I understand silver is the one which has got everyone's attention in the last week at least. We've been noticing some really stark developments in the silver markets. Could you give our viewers a walkthrough of what has transpired in the last week, the levels that silver has reached, what could have been the probable factors driving silver to these highs, and what lies ahead for the silver markets in the future?
So in silver, in the international markets, we have a very peculiar situation where COMEX futures are trading around $47.50 and spot silver is trading around $51.
52. Yeah.
So what you have is right now that physical silver is quoting at a premium of around $3 to $4 compared to futures, whereas the relationship is typically inverse, where futures is about 20 cents or 50 cents above. And that's driven by the fact that right now there's a real shortage of physical metal. People are clamoring to say, I want physical metal, and they can't find it. And you can see that seen in India right now because everybody in India wants to buy, and there is not physical metal premiums have gone up so much so that some of the ETFs have stopped investors from buying because they can't uh, get the physical metal to back the ETF. So I think this is a short-term situation, but it just shows you a fact that you have a little bit of discontinuity in the market where physical metal amongst the buyers is not available. So you have a lot of silver in the market, in the global market. It's sitting in different areas. It's sitting with investors somewhere who may want to offload it, but getting that from where it is to where it's required is going to take time. And in the meantime, you have a crazy situation where lease rates are 40%. People are clamoring for silver, and premiums are going up, which are typically about 20, 30 cents, are going up to $1, $2 right now. So I think in the market needs to be aware and don't get short of silver right now because it is a little bit susceptible to the upside.
So does that mean, Sunil, that there is potential for, because of the supply deficit, there's potential for more upside in silver in the coming
Yes,
week?
yes, it could shoot up suddenly. Yes.
Okay, okay. And what about gold, Sunil? So we've seen some resistance in gold now that it has hit 4,000. It closed on US spot around 4,015. Do you Is there a similar situation brewing in gold, or the dynamics in gold are completely different, and maybe our viewers need to understand something else about what's happening in the gold markets?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the gold saw a lot of buying, especially in the last couple of weeks. But in the last 2 or 3 days, it seems to have been sold off. So in my view, there's two factors taking place. There is still that run to safety and people buying gold as a short-term run to safety. But you have a real concern right now among some of the other markets. On Friday, the stock market in the US came off. I think you're going to see Asian markets also reacting to that. Over the weekend, you saw Bitcoin and cryptos come off because there was some talk about a big default in the crypto market. So when that happens and there are losses taking place, I think some of the people who are leveraged, okay, may start liquidating their gold positions to try and fund the margins on any positions, loss positions that they may have on stocks or crypto. So if that happens where people are taking profit on their gold positions to try and offset losses elsewhere, that would create the first sort of level of resistance to this one-way movement of gold. We have to see what happens on Monday and Tuesday when the markets open in the US. But I would caution people that they should watch that space carefully because you could see a reversal if people start taking profits on their positions.
Understood, Sunil. The the surge in gold and also in silver that we've been seeing is partly also driven by the US government shutdown that kicked into effect on October 1st. Are there any new developments with respect to, is that going to have a date by which that's going to conclude? Right now, the Fed has no data to really rely on what it needs to do to in terms of the monetary policy as well, which is also why gold has been surging. So in terms of the US government shutdown, is there been any news recently?
Yeah. So there was a view that the shutdown would stop around October 15th because the military needs to be paid on that day, and there are about 1.3 million active military personnel, army personnel, and there was a view that the shutdown has to end before that because they have to get paid. But yesterday, Trump made a statement um, that the Defense Department has an allocation of funds for that payment. So therefore, that initial sort of fear has been kicked down the road. But still, the point is that you're getting into a situation where they're trying to figure out contingency measures to keep this thing going. I do believe that right now both sides, the Democrats and Republicans, are sort of locked in, but the patience of the American people is slowly declining. And depending on how the media plays this and how the public perception changes, one party or the other, who's seen to be behind or to blame for this, is going to immediately turn around and say, okay, look, let's come to a compromise. So I don't think this is going to extend beyond 1 or 2 weeks.
Understood. Thanks a lot, Sunil. That was very comprehensive. We covered a lot of points. Let's see if this week again is a roller coaster week or we see some semblance of stability as we enter this week. But till then, thank you so much and goodbye.